See, there are certain questions in history which have never been answered, and people have been making assumptions based because of their own political interests or vested interests or saving someone, those kind of things. And one of the most crucial factors in this regard is the sudden dash of Jawaharlal Nehru to Singapore in 1946. When in April 1946, elections are to be held in the country. Political campaigning is going on for the elections everywhere. And mind it, it was not a simple election, it was a very tough election because Muslim League was contesting and the whole issue of partition was there. And at that time, Congress was contesting to win the elections. And suddenly, Jawaharlal Nehru rushed to Singapore, where Mountbatten is the Allied chief commander of the Allied forces. And I can understand one thing, that at home, the way the whole INA issue had been raised and used by the Congress, that was helping them a lot in elections. And it can be said also that a visit to Malaya and all these places, claiming that I am going for the benefit of INA and to look into what the people of INA are doing there, in what state they are and all, and to help them out, will again be a very good thing back home. But the question is, was it so simple? Was this the reason for that? And when one started exploring, some very revealing facts are coming in this regard. On 31st of December 1945, Wavell wrote a letter to the King of England, not to the Prime Minister, but to the King of England, wherein he says that some compromise and agreement should be reached till or unless we face an upheaval which can be more serious than the upheaval of 1942. And mind it, this is December 45. And then the king is informed in January itself that we will be leaving India, and since this affects his stature as king of the dominion and all that, he has to be informed, and there is a full correspondence related to that, which makes it amply clear that the British had decided by that time that they will be leaving India. And the question was, who is to be given this task at the time when they transfer the power, or when whatever they call it is done. And Mountbatten was clearly decided by that time only that he will be the next Governor General of India. And it is in that light. The other worry for the British was that who should be the Prime Minister of independent India, whichever India. Pakistan was clear. In Pakistan they have divided, it will be Jinnah. But who in India? We all know certain aspects related to how Jawaharlal Nehru's name was selected by the Congress Working Committee and all that. I'm not going into that, but I'm here talking only of the British concern in this regard. And naturally you can understand that who the choice of Britishers will be, that someone who's in British mannerism, who's who's Hindu by accident, who has his full lifestyle and whatever is from a British point of view. Now the question here arises is why I got suspicion. I had suspicions about this was that when he's going on this aspect that he has to look after the welfare of the INA, they are personal over there. There are many Pravasi Indians who had contributed for the INA, for Netaji, for the liberation of not only India but Southeast Asia. So there, when Mountbatten tells him not to go to the memorial, which was constructed by Netaji just before leaving Singapore, which was kept by the Indian community over there, and Nehru was, and which was sort of blasted by the Allied forces when they occupied Singapore. But again, the Indians had kept some flowers over there and something, and they were written in that memorial. And Nehru doesn't go to that. Why? A lot of theories have been said that Mountbatten asked him not to go, but he secretly went over there, offered flowers and all. And some of those people who are great Nehruvian scholars, who claim to be Nehruvian scholars and defend Nehru and his actions, say that this has happened. But this is only second-hand accounts. There's not any first-hand account of this. And what better can be the first-hand account of this given by Mountbatten himself. In the foreword of the book, written by Vijayalakshmi Pandit, he clearly states that I advised Nehru not to visit that, and Nehru conceded to that advice, and he says that from here started the friendship between him, Edwina, and Nehru. And I, as a historian, will go for this first-hand statement of Mountbatten, whatsoever else the other detractors may like to say in this regard. Now comes the second aspect of Nehru's visit over there. The British were very much worried how to get hold of those INA leaders who had gone underground. That was very crucial for the British. And we have a whole list of these files up to December 45, which are declaring that so-and-so person has to be caught, so-and-so person is absconding, so-and-so person has been surrendered. All those lists are there in the archival files over here. Now, in this connection, again, it's apparent that Nehru helped him, because it's clearly written in the autobiography of A.M. Sahai, the great leader of Azad Hind Sarkar, where he states that his younger brother, Satyadev Sahai, who was the intelligence officer and who had gone underground on the instructions of Netaji, and he had not surrendered over there. And this fellow went and met Nehru in his hotel in Singapore in the mid of the night, climbing a pipe. And no one knew that he's going to meet Nehru. And he says Nehru welcomed him. Mathai was also there. Bravo, how are you, and all that, and they discussed a lot and all. And in that meeting, Nehru advised him that he should surrender. He should no more remain underground. And you can imagine that why Netaji had asked the top leading intelligence officer of INA to go underground and not to surrender. I don't have to spell out the reasons for that why he had gone underground. Now this man doesn't answer yes or no to Nehru. And he comes back the same way from the hotel, hiding, climbing down now coming down from the pipe, which he had climbed over to go to Nehru's room. And this man is waiting outside early morning to catch a bus. And then suddenly 2 American jeeps appear with American soldiers, and this man is surrounded. Now my question here is, who sold him out? His was a secret visit. Only he knew, Nehru knew, and Mathai knew. How come this happened? One can again put up a lot of arguments in that. But actually this incident happened. Third question, which comes again very crucial here, is, which is very important, what happened to the INA treasures? I am not using the word treasure, I am using the word treasures. About 5 kg of gold, Indian Independence League and INA, was handed over to Nehru in Singapore by the local IL leadership there, Harbhajan Singh, what's his name? And Nehru opened a personal account in the Indian Overseas Bank there, in which this almost 5 kg of gold was deposited. And it was stated that this will be spent in giving scholarships and help to Indian students in Malaya. What happened with this account? There is no record to show that. And those who try to defend it say, oh, it was a settled issue that it will go to the help of Indian youngsters and scholars and scholarships and all. But my question is, yes, it was decided, but did it actually go? One needs an answer to that. And the things get more complicated here, because it's not just that. The records in Rangoon, where the Azad Hind Bank was sealed by the British, Dinanath, the director of that bank, has given all the record, how many Japanese currency was there, how much Indian rupees were there, how much Burmese currency was there, how much US dollars were there. All that is listed out. Plus he's mentioning that they had tremendous stocks of penny over there in certain places and other things and all that when the bank was sealed. what happened to that amount which was there in the bank and sealed by the Britishers? Where did that money go? Where did that paddy go? Where did those other things, assets go? No one knows that. No one tried to probe it. And the third aspect related to that is that, and this I think in totality comes here somewhere near around 45 kg of gold. There is a complete list. How many bangles, how many necklaces, how many earrings. These are the monies donated by the poorest of the poor in those areas for the National Army, even by the rich businessmen also. These were the collections. We all know that Netaji was weighed with gold ornaments and all that in Rangoon. Now, this is forfeited by the British, and the list is complete there. And they are saying, now what is to be done with this treasure? And a viewpoint comes out again that it should be given to that same personal fund for the relief aspect and all. That is not then approved by the British. Then Indian government wants to claim it. And then the last noting on that is in the file of 1950, where it says that now the Indian government is saying that it should be distributed equally between India and Pakistan. Now why Pakistan? It was INA money. And then it says that when we told the Indian government, this is the British document, when we told the Indian government that okay, we are going to approach the government of Pakistan, the Indian government says that no, you don't approach Pakistan, we will talk to Pakistan, we will approach Pakistan. That is the last thing on that file of 1950 in Singapore archives, confidential file marked over there. Now what happened to this 45 kg of gold is a second mystery, a third mystery in relation to the treasure affairs. And again, these are all directly linked to Nehru's visit in 46 over there. I don't want to comment on the later part of the treasure and all that, because this is a separate story altogether and all. Now, back home, there are some other questions I'm raising. None of the biographers of Nehru mention the details of this visit of Nehru to Singapore. Details I am saying. I'm not saying just mention that he went to, say one line, mention that he went to Singapore to help the INA and all that, but what actually happened in that. Now there are records in the parliament stated by people on the floor of the parliament, which are part of the parliament record, that such questions were asked there, what went on between Mountbatten and Nehru and all that. Okay, Bose comes, who will be the Prime Minister of India, all these kind of things are being talked about. We don't have access to these documents, but I'm pretty sure that Mountbatten himself must have, and because the British are very good at these kind of records, the report which Mountbatten submitted on this visit of Nehru, where is that report? Whether to Attlee, or whether he wrote to Wavell, whether what is there in Attlee and Wavell papers related to that, or Mountbatten as Chief Commander of the Allied Forces sent a report to the Chief of the overall Chief of the Allied Commanders. These are some documents which need to be pursued in this regard to come to the truth of this aspect. But the Indian biographers never refer to this aspect. One line only, Nehru met Mountbatten and all. He was given a VVIP treatment. He was received at the airport. He was taken around everywhere. And plenty of other documents mention about these aspects. And my question is, was this visit a kind of a pre-planned aspect to establish a rapport between Mountbatten, Edwina and Nehru? Because the future events related to that prove the point which I am trying to make. Nehru's agreeing to partition, Mountbatten plan. Radcliffe leaving India without dividing and deciding the boundaries, Nehru having agreed to that. Whatever Mountbatten is saying in this period as Viceroy, Nehru agreeing to that. Not only this, it's the funniest part of Indian history that the last Viceroy and Governor General of the British India is made as the first Governor General of independent India, Mountbatten. So what is this rapport between these? And not only this, on the Kashmir issue and certain other things, we have seen it. And we clearly see Mountbatten's influence on Nehru in relation to the Kashmir problem. We all know that the Indian forces who are waiting in Kashmir, they had made a proposal that so long they have not driven the Pakistanis out of Kashmir, no ceasefire should be signed, but the ceasefire was signed. So this visit of Nehru of 1946, March, is very crucial to know the details of this, and I am sure that in archival records in England and some other places, there has to be the record and reporting of this meeting to understand what followed after 46 in relation to India's freedom struggle and ultimately what we call the independence of India.